Hello everyone, it's Macklin with M Education, and this is our final video in our three-part tutorial on bobs, where we cut 3 different bobs using 2 degrees of lift and only 1 section angle. And we do it all on the same doll head. So let's wrap up this 3-part tutorial with our A-line graduated bob in 3, 2, 1. So before we start talking about what the A-line graduated bob is, let's check out some images so we can get a visualization of what we're going to be cutting. Our A-line graduated bob is an external graduation. Now, an external graduation means that the graduation, the technique itself, and the hairline are actually creating the shape of the perimeter. Now, we can go in later on and clean up, refine the perimeter to be a little bit more coherent or have a certain look that we want, but the actual initial creation of the perimeter happens between the graduation and the hairline. We're going to be using an inside hand cutting position. It's going to help us create a moderate amount of tension on the hair. I'm also going to demonstrate a reverse inside hand position that is really good in tight corners or when you're working graduations that are actually in the vertical dimension. We're also going to be using 45 degrees of lift throughout the entire haircut. Now, 45 degrees of lift versus 45 degrees of elevation. Lift means that we're lifting all of the hair at the same time to the same degree that's relative to the floor. Elevation is relative to the bone structure, to the head shape. So we're going to be continuing to work in our horizontal, diagonal, forward section angle. Now that section angle, since it is horizontal, it's helping us create the horizontal form, and that's going to be our primary control. Since it's diagonal forward, it's helping move weight towards the front. We're also going to be using a convex cutting line within our horizontal diagonal forward section. We're going to be going in and creating our horizontal form first. That's what we're going to want to see. And our secondary control is going to be our lift, and that's going to create the technique. Now, you can switch these. You can work in the vertical, where your primary control is your technique and your secondary control would be your horizontal form. But for this tutorial, I thought it would be fun to work in the horizontal. Our lower body, when cutting this shape, since we are creating something that's shorter in the back, longer in the front, we want to move with the weight and direction of the hair. So we're going to be starting in the back of the head and we will be moving our way around to the front. Before we get to cutting, let's take a look at some of the tools that we're going to be using.
All right, let's get started. So before the cut, I like to apply Naturia by Renee Fritterer. It's a leave-in conditioner and a tangler. It helps the brush move through very easily and also lets the hair maintain a lot more of its moisture. So find the parting from the last haircut. You take a section, comb it back, and you separate the long from the short. In the back, I find where the ears are and do a center division parting. And from here, I'll do my horizontal diagonal forward partings as well, and then clip up all the extra hair that we're not going to be working with. Tilt the head forward so the nape is nice straight up and down, sort of 90 degrees. Redo that center division parting so you know exactly where the center of the back of the head is. And now we're going to look at our horizontal diagonal forward section and create the same one about a comb's width at most down in the nape. using an inside hand position, 45 degrees of lift, and we're doing about 1.5 to 2 inches in the guide, and we're going to create our guide. We're cutting it nice and flat. We're going to be using a convex cutting line, so that means wherever you're pulling it out from the head, you're going to be cutting it flat. You're not going to be using any type of finger angle. Start your guide and check for balance. If it's a little bit off, fix it. This is going to set the pace for the entire haircut. Continue to move up the head in horizontal diagonal forward sections. Always start in the center, just like when you started your guide, and move from side to side following the guide. Always work in front of the section that you're cutting, so you'll be able to pull it towards you. You want to be pulling that section straight out from the section, not straight back. Straight back would be creating too much of a finger angle on the outside, and that would be creating too much length. You want to comb, place your fingers against the scalp, expand it out, and then cut. Check for balance. Continue up the head, horizontal diagonal forward sections. At this point, your guide is strong. You've got a good convex line working itself around the head, living inside of your horizontal diagonal forward section. So just follow the guide. Always check that the hair coming from the parting is perpendicular. When you pull the hair out, you want the hair to almost make a rectangle. Check for balance. Continue up the head in the same manner. You're going to be cutting the entire nape from side to side the same way that you started. Now here I'm showing the reverse inside hand position. The reverse inside hand position is best used when you're working graduations that are more vertical. Comb, place, expand, and cut. Continue working up horizontal diagonal forward sections. So we're going to speed it up here a little bit. Since we have our guide, we have our 45 degrees of lift, we have our section angle, everything is the same. Checking that that hair is perpendicular coming into the part. Expand the hair, cut, check that you are cutting parallel to the section and the hair is perpendicular to the section. Finish the nape. Comb, place, expand, and cut. Check for balance before moving on. To cross-check, use the opposite sectioning, which is going to be a vertical diagonal back section angle. Lightly dust the ends if they need it. Tilt the head back up. We're going to be continuing our horizontal diagonal forward section angles. We're going to finish the left side before we move over and finish the right hand side. I chose the left side simply because that's where most of the hair is, and I figured let's take care of the bulk before we take care of the least. Really make a nice clean section before you continue. Always start in the center and then move with the section. What you can't see is I am moving my lower body every time I cut. Don't stay in the same place or you're going to over direct the hair back too much and create too much length in the front. Keep cutting at 45 degrees of lift. Follow the guide. Continue up the head. One of the easy things about this haircut is once you do the first couple of sections in the guide, everything else is cut the exact same. Nothing changes. Body position remains the same. The section angle remains the same. The hand position remains the same. Working everything at 45 degrees of lift and following your guide. Now we're going to work on the right hand side. Continue with the same section angle. Start in the back center, 45 degrees of lift. Check to see that you have a slightly rounded guide because that is showing you that you are moving with the head shape. If your guide is flat, that shows you that you are not moving with the head shape. Continue up the head. Keep pulling the hair perpendicular to its section angle with your fingers parallel to the section angle, creating a visual rectangle. Continue all the way up the head with the same section angle. Time to blow dry. So I like to use the Lisea smoothing fluid from Renee Ferderer. Creates a nice shine and a lot of manageability in the blow dry. Go back to the original parting, natural part, center back division, horizontal diagonal forward on either side. We're going to work the blow dry like we work the haircut. We are going to use the cross-checking sections to go in and smooth down the roots with a comb. I'm using a comb because I want a little bit more tension. Now I'm going in and smoothing the mid shaft and the ends with my Denman style brush. I'm working in the same sections that I cut. I'm using horizontal diagonal forward sections to blow dry, same sections I used to cut. I'm heating the hair up and letting it cool down before I drop it out of the brush. And when I drop it out of the brush, I'm making sure that the guide, the cut of the hair, is parallel to the brush. I choose to blow dry with both hands. The reason why I do this is because hair will tend to curl in the direction of the handle of the brush. So if you only stand on one side, then one side curves back and one side curves forward. Now I'm moving up into the top. I am using my Denman style brush to dry the first inch of the roots. You want to set the movement of the base in the way you want. So in this case, I'm using the same sectioning to set the base. I could also be using my low tension brush if my client has a little bit more of a sensitive head. Continuing with the same sections that I cut. These are the same sections I'm choosing to blow dry. I'm using a Denman style brush instead of a round brush because I don't want to create a false volume. A round brush will lift the base, thus by creating a false volume. You create false volume in a graduation, you won't truly be able to see where that graduation is sitting. So now I'm combining the right and left sides. Once again, I'm going in and really just drawing that first inch. I'm setting my base. I'm using the same sections that I use in cutting to set my base. Now I'm going in, concentrating on the mid shaft and the ends, making sure I'm heating that hair up and dropping it out. It's very important how the hair heats up in a blow dry. It's also just as important how the hair cools down. Let's start smoothing out our hair. When you're working a flat iron or a smoothing iron in a graduation, don't go below the occipital. Start your smoothing where you ended the cutting in the nape and only work the mid shaft through the ends. Also remember not to use too much heat. You can use a little bit less heat and a couple more movements. If you use too much heat, you can really stress the ends and then they start getting frizzy. Now let's do our refinement. Definitely my favorite part. First, create the perimeter that you want to see. In this example, I'm going for a curved perimeter that follows the jawline. Remember, the beauty of the A-line is that it follows most of the bone structure of the face. Most of our facial bone structure has a diagonal forward angle to it. I'm cutting up to the highest point, starting from the front to the back and then back to the front. I'm then going with just the point of my shears to check any little imperfections that may still exist. Using my comb to just hold the hair while I sort of debulk, and then come in and do a lot more cleaning. You can also tilt the head so the hair lays against the skin. It makes it easier to cut. When we're going in to do point cutting, point cut everything above the occipital, not below. You work to create a very strong graduation that's holding the rest of the haircut up, so you don't want to go through that graduation and start punching holes in it, or you are going to get a bumpy graduation. I'm also going to work really the same section angles in my point cutting. I choose the point cut in the horizontal form because that's what I want to soften. The weight line lives in the horizontal form, so I wouldn't be taking a vertical section unless I only want to remove weight in a vertical area. Continue all the way around. In the middle of the haircut, where there's the most density, I will go in and do more of a deep point cut, going in 1 inch to 2 inches in. On the top, I will only point cut about 1 inch in. Refine the line after you're done point cutting because things could have moved. Here's our final product.
we go. There's our A-line graduated bob, different from the A-line with graduation, different from the A-line. But just to prove how strong and how important those section angles are, we just did 3 bobs with 2 degrees of lift and only 1 section angle. Now, if you go back and start watching from the A-line bob from the first video, if you take that section angle and you move it from horizontal diagonal forward to horizontal, this whole tutorial becomes about the balanced bob. And it's just that easy. It's a very simple way of creating 3 different bobs. If you like this video, go ahead and check out some of my others here on haireducation.me. Once again, I'm Macklin with M Education. Thanks for watching. See you next time.